Welcome, this is Automotive Anonymous, and I'm so glad you're here. That's the Nissan Versa. It's literally the least expensive brand new car that you can buy right now in North America, starting at about $15,000. And there's a lot of misconception about the Versa. Most people think it's unsafe, unreliable, and quite frankly, a piece of junk. But I'm gonna see if we can debunk some of those myths, or if by the end of this video we find out that those people are right. So you can expect to see a walk around, all the specs, initial driving impressions, 0 to 60 with the GPS, and then my final thoughts to help you decide what do you do with the all-new Nissan Versa. Do you buy it? Do you leave it at the lot? Maybe look at the other subcompact competition? Well, big thanks to Twin Falls Chevy for letting me borrow theirs for the day. Let's dive right in with this review. You need to know that the Nissan Versa first came out in 2007. We're now in the third generation that started in 2020. And then in 2023, it got a facelift front end, but the rest of it remains basically the same. These are assembled in 3 places in the world: Mexico, Thailand, and Malaysia. But they're sold globally in countries such as the US, Canada, Vietnam, the Philippines, Malaysia, the Middle East, and a few others. So they're pretty popular. The lowest trim level, the S, is offered in both a manual or a CVT, and they start at just over $15,000 before destination. And then if you get a fully loaded SV like this, which is the highest trim level, you're gonna be looking at about 20 grand. And only 20 grand for the best Nissan Versa. That's basically 40% of the average new car these days. So you'd probably expect them to sell in the millions. Well, there's probably a few million of these globally, but in the US, the recent years, especially this generation, has only sold between 11 and 60,000 units every single year, which is a shame because the last generation sometimes sold in the hundreds of thousands. So what's changed? Has the stereotype caught up to it? Is the competition just that much better? Or is it something else? One of the biggest shocks to people is the current generation Versa actually has 10 airbags and scored 5-star in the overall crash test rating system. Although it only scored 4 stars on the front, just avoid 4-star front crash tests and you'll be fine, right? No, avoid them all, and the Versa helps you because it has other active and passive safety features like blind spot monitoring, sensors on the rear bumper, and lane keep guidance warnings. These weigh between 23 and 2,600 pounds. A base model 5-speed manual would be on the lighter side. A CVT loaded SV like this would be on the higher side. This one has a payload capacity of 849 pounds. So you can put 849 pounds worth of people or stuff in your little Versa, and then it's overall about 14.7 feet long, 5.5 feet wide, 5 feet tall. It actually has a pretty impressive 6.8 inches of ground clearance. The wheelbase is 8.5 feet, so it's pretty stable on the road for its size. And then as you can see here, it does a full circle in 35 feet. The last things to mention out here is the gas tank is located right there on the driver's side. There's a tab to release it on the inside, so no one's gonna be opening it up and siphoning your gas. It's a 10.8 gallon tank with the CVT. The Versa is rated for 32 city, 40 highway, so your max highway range is gonna be about 432 before you run out of gas. The wheels and tires, it's a 16-inch wheel. The tire, it's a 225 55/16. You'll notice there's drum brakes on the rear, disc brakes on the front, and then you have keyless entry with lock and lock, the trunk release, and the panic button. But enough with that, let's hop inside. The door panel actually looks more substantial than I would have expected. I thought there might be roll-up windows when I first was hopping in this. But look, you have all of your powered options. You have a 4-finger handle. You have some Hobby Lobby stitching and a soft touch door card. Bottle holder, some snacks, unnamed speaker. This actually has 4 speakers in it, which isn't many, but it does have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Nothing on the door sill. Versa cloth mats, rubberized pedals, some of those tabs I talked about, as well as a trunk release tab right there. A little bit of storage, ventilation, lighting stock, manually adjusted 2-tone seats with minimal bolstering. Sitting inside the Versa is actually a pretty decent place to be. It's comfortable, very human-centric, ergonomically pleasing, and if fired right up, the push button start is down by the shifter. Oh, a little theatrical display of the car and the needle dancing around, not too bad. The horn is pretty high pitched, to be honest, but you can go through your center display with the left of the wheel. Additionally, it has the voice and volume controls. The right of the wheel has your cruise control settings. This is your center display. The rear view camera actually looks pretty good. physical HVAC buttons, all that stuff. Plug in 12-volt aux, a little bit of storage. Again, the push button start the shifter. The e-brake, in case you want to do some crazy e-brake turns. And then it's like a captain's chair. Look at that, that's your armrest, because you just have some more plugins and a small storage center, where the center console typically would be. Otherwise, there's your mirror, there's your roof controls, and non-lit up mirror. So it offers you quite a bit, but let's hop in the back. Let's see what else it has to offer. The rear passenger door panel follows the same theme and design language. There's nothing really new or surprising back here, other than you get some carbon fiber theme around the 4-finger handle. Otherwise, Hobby Lobby stitching and soft touch armrest. Why is there a bottle holder and no extension for snacks? I don't understand. Otherwise, one of the other 4 speakers, because it's one per door basically. A little bit of grip on the door sill. This is your 60 split. They're easy to lift and lower. And then sitting behind myself, I'm 5'11". I have this much room in front of my knees. I could access that front center console storage if I want, but I don't have an armrest over here. So this is the view that you could get. Pretty good visibility. Overall, a lot of dark materials in the cabin, but I could make it across town. I just don't know if I'd want to make it across the country like this. Anyways, let's hop out and I'll show you the trunk. There's 3 ways to get into the back of the Versa. You can either push the button that's on the remote, you can climb through the back seats, or you can pull the tab on the driver's side, let the trunk hatch pop, and then lift it the rest of the way. And back here you have 14.7 cubic feet of room, which is substantial for a subcompact class vehicle. Drop those seats forward, which is easy to do, and you have that much more room. And then underneath the cloth Versa floor liner, you have your spare tire and a bunch of extra stuff to store down there. What are you gonna store? Keep it legal, but I'm interested in knowing what you're gonna hide down there. Otherwise, it's easy to lower, and we'll move on to the passenger side. No new surprises back here, the same door panel. This is where your backseat driver goes because you have a map pocket, and then this is the 40 split. And if you're fortunate enough to ride shotgun, you have a bigger door panel, just like the driver, with the snack pocket, which I really appreciate. Otherwise, there's not really anything on the door sill. The seats are manually adjusted. My backpack's having a good time, feeling comfortable and safe. No storage on the transmission tunnel. Non-locking glove box storage right there. It's adequately sized though, so that's pretty impressive. And then this is a pretty nice Hobby Lobby lined trim piece on the dashboard. Otherwise, let's come around to the front, let's pop the hood, and I'll show you what the 1.6 liter naturally aspirated engine looks like. Under the hood is the cute little 1.6 liter naturally aspirated engine that has a stampede of 122 ponies at 6,300 RPM and 114 pound-feet of the twisty torque at 4,000 RPM. So that's actually a substantial power plant for being only about 2,500 pounds. Otherwise, it's actually pretty well engineered under the hood. All of your reservoirs are easy to identify, easy to get to. The battery's on the driver's side, as is the air filter, the box, the throttle body, the air intake manifold, the exhaust manifold's on the back side. It's transversely mounted because it's front wheel drive. So there's the alternator, there's the serpentine belt, easy to get to outside of taking off that motor mount. And then it has the CVT hidden away, tucked underneath because it's shy. But let's drop the hood, take it for a drive. Time for my favorite part. I get to time travel and teleport you to one of my favorite roads to show you how it drives and then to see how fast it is on GPS. Initial driving impressions are overall a lot better than I expected. Just sitting in here, it's very ergonomically pleasing, well designed, and I really enjoy the captain chair armrest. I think that's a nice touch. Visibility is pretty good. And you can fit small, full-size adults in the back seat. Not too bad for being a 2,500 pound car. And when you have to get up to speed, or maybe pass someone on the highway, the little 1.6 liter is actually fairly responsive. It feels a little bit quicker than I would have expected it to feel for being 122 horsepower. And all these hard materials, kind of these cheaper interior pieces, they actually are usually what ages really well. They're easy to clean, they're durable. And the backpack agrees it's having a good time sitting in the seat, although the bolstering is not aggressive at all. So don't take a corner too quick, or you might slide out of your seat if it wasn't for the captain armrest holding me in place. But overall, I'm having quite a bit of fun in here. It's not quite as playful as the less powerful, lighter weight Mitsubishi Mirage I reviewed about a month ago for you guys. but it still is really fun. There's honestly just something about lightweight cars that make them so much more enjoyable to drive than all these bigger, heavier, more powerful things that can only go in a straight line. And if you ever have to throw the wheel, change direction, let's see how the suspension handles. A little bit of rear tire sliding, but overall, it's probably what you expect. It's very playful in the suspension, which usually adds more comfort by not being too stiff on the street. I can't really complain about my experience in here. If you're only paying $15,000 to $20,000 for this driving experience, what do you expect? The radio sounds better than I would have imagined. And this SV trim level, you know, it could be a good car for a small family, for someone needing to log a lot of miles, especially if you're getting 40 miles per gallon on the highway. But overall, it's pretty darn good. I'm gonna show you what the brakes look like, and then we'll get to the private road and do a 0 to 60. Only a couple millimeters of squish before it bites, and they do a pretty good job. Where you don't weigh a lot, it doesn't take a lot to slow it down. But let's cut to our private road. 0 to 60 in the Versa. And 12.48 seconds, which honestly isn't too bad given the fact that density altitude is 5,500 feet above sea level, meaning this vehicle is down on power about 18%. My final thoughts of the current generation Nissan Versa is it's surprisingly good. It's actually a lot better than I was expecting. I was expecting it to feel more in line with the Mitsubishi Mirage that I drove not too long ago. But this, it has the silhouette of a last generation Toyota Corolla. It has the driving mannerisms of a lot of other kind of economy class 5-seater cars. It's more stable on the road than I would have thought, and having Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, and all those extra safety features make it pretty impressive and a pretty good value for the price point. There's not a lot that competes against this because there's not a lot of cars that are reasonably priced anymore. These are huge overseas, and the other markets that they're sold in, they're not very popular though in America, and I'd like to know why. So comment below, let me know what your thoughts and opinions are. Have you owned one of these? Are you considering it? Why are you watching this video? I want to know all of that stuff. If you guys like my style, please consider liking my video. That's the one thing I ask, because that helps it get shared, that helps the channel to grow. If you want to see more, you're welcome to subscribe. I post a few times a week. And otherwise, I just want you guys to have the best rest of your day and be more informed about your next car buying decision. So until that time comes, take care.